A major sex scandal has emerged in Equatorial Guinea involving Baltasar Ebang Engonga, the head of the National Financial Investigation Agency, ANF. During an investigation into corruption and financial mismanagement, authorities discovered over 400 explicit videos on his devices. These videos allegedly feature Engonga with various women, including the wives of high-ranking government officials, such as ministers and the police director's wife. The footage was filmed in different locations, including offices, hotels, and restrooms. The scandal has prompted widespread outrage, with concerns about abuse of power and potential public health risks. In response, the government is considering installing surveillance cameras in official offices to prevent further incidents. Engonga's position is now under scrutiny, and he could face serious consequences. The case is a significant point of controversy, especially given Engonga's role in overseeing anti-corruption efforts. The ongoing scandal in Equatorial Guinea involving Baltasar Ebang Engonga, head of the National Financial Investigation Agency, ANF, has escalated after over 400 explicit videos were discovered on his devices. These videos reportedly show Engonga engaging with various women, some of whom are the wives of high-ranking government officials, including ministers and the police director's wife. The footage was filmed in various locations, such as official offices, hotels, and restrooms, often without the knowledge of the individuals involved. The discovery has sparked widespread outrage across the country, especially given Engonga's role in overseeing anti-corruption efforts. His actions have raised concerns about abuses of power, ethical violations, and potential public health risks. The government has already stated its intention to take action to prevent further incidents, including the possible installation of surveillance cameras in government offices. Public reaction has been mixed, with many citizens calling for immediate disciplinary actions against Engonga, while others express disbelief at the level of corruption and misconduct among top officials. This situation is further complicated by Engonga's family connections, with his father being a prominent figure in the Economic and Monetary Community of Central Africa, CEMAC. His position and influence within the government are now under intense scrutiny as the scandal continues to develop. The sex scandal in Equatorial Guinea has become one of the biggest controversies involving government officials. Baltasar Ebang Engonga, the head of the National Financial Investigation Agency, ANF, is at the center of the scandal. Authorities discovered over 400 explicit videos featuring Engonga with various women, some of whom are reportedly the wives of senior government officials, including the police director's wife and the spouses of several ministers. These videos were filmed at various locations, including official offices, hotels, and restrooms. The revelation has led to public outrage, especially given Engonga's position overseeing corruption investigations. His actions have sparked concerns about the abuse of power, ethical misconduct, and the potential violation of public trust. There have been calls for swift disciplinary action and accountability. The government, facing the fallout, has already started considering measures such as installing surveillance cameras in official workplaces to prevent further misconduct. Engonga, who comes from a powerful family, his father is a prominent figure in CEMAC, is now under intense scrutiny, and his career could be in jeopardy as investigations into the scandal continue. This controversy has raised questions about governance and transparency in Equatorial Guinea, where political scandals often have wide-reaching implications for the country's image and internal stability. As of now, Baltasar Ebang Engonga has not been officially fired, though his position is under serious scrutiny. The discovery of over 400 explicit videos involving him and various women, including the wives of high-ranking government officials, has prompted public outrage. In response to the scandal, the Equatorial Guinea government has indicated that measures will be taken, which could include disciplinary action or dismissal, though no official termination has been announced yet. The government has already begun discussing stricter control mechanisms, such as installing surveillance cameras in government offices to prevent similar misconduct. Engonga's family connections, especially his father's prominent position in the Economic and Monetary Community of Central Africa, CEMAC, complicate the situation further. However, the scandal's fallout continues to evolve, and it remains to be seen whether Engonga will face dismissal or other severe consequences. Yes, Baltasar Ebang Engonga is married. He has 6 children. His personal life, especially his marriage, has come under additional scrutiny amid the unfolding scandal. Baltasar Ebang Engonga is a senior official in Equatorial Guinea, known for his role as the head of the National Financial Investigation Agency, ANF, where he was responsible for overseeing corruption investigations and financial audits. His career has been notably linked to anti-corruption efforts in the country. However, his professional reputation is now under severe scrutiny. These videos were recorded across multiple locations, such as his office, hotels, and other private settings. It is said that the encounters were filmed with the participants' consent. But the fact that many of these videos were shot in official spaces, including government offices, has stirred significant controversy. The tapes were uncovered during a raid on his office and home, part of a broader investigation into financial corruption, which has now expanded to include the illicit activities captured in the videos. Baltasar Engonga's wife has been involved in the scandal surrounding the explicit videos. While there are reports mentioning videos allegedly involving his wife, details about her specific comments on the situation remain unclear. However, the broader context suggests a heavy strain on his family life due to the ongoing investigation and the revelations about his behavior. Engonga's involvement in this scandal, particularly his extramarital activities and the high-profile individuals filmed, has raised serious questions about personal and professional ethics within Equatorial Guinea's government. The case continues to evolve, with public outrage growing over the content of the videos and their implications, not only for Engonga, but also for his family and public reputation. There haven't been any specific comments from Baltasar Engonga's father regarding the scandal surrounding his son. However, the broader situation has drawn intense public reaction, including from various religious and social leaders. For example, a Nigerian Reverend Father criticized those who have watched the leaked tapes, urging them to repent and highlighting the moral implications of both the actions in the tapes and the viewers' participation. Engonga's family's reactions, especially from his father, remain largely private amid the scandal's ongoing developments. Yes, Baltasar Ebang Engonga is reported to have filmed the explicit videos himself. According to sources, the videos, which were discovered during a corruption investigation, there is no clear indication that Baltasar Ebang Engonga is Muslim. Most reports focus on his professional background and the recent scandal involving explicit videos and corruption, rather than his religious affiliations. Details on his personal beliefs or religious practices are not commonly highlighted in the available information. Equatorial Guinea is predominantly a Christian country, with the majority of its population being Roman Catholic. Protestant Christianity also has a significant presence. Islam is a minority religion with a small Muslim community, but it is not the dominant faith in the country. Christianity, particularly Catholicism, plays a central role in the cultural and religious life of the nation.
Public investigators were searching Engonga's computer in the course of a probe into alleged corruption and embezzlement of public funds when they found up to 400 sex videos of him and multiple women, some of them wives and relatives of senior government officials, local media reported. Some of the videos were reported to have leaked and gone viral on social media, prompting shock and outrage from officials. The authorities want to establish whether the man deliberately used these relationships to spread a possible disease among the population. Prosecutor General Anatolio Nazang Nguema was quoted as saying, "Engonga could face prosecution for endangering public health," he said. In the wake of the scandal, Meng said that government offices will soon have surveillance cameras to eradicate improper and illicit behavior. "Anyone caught having any form of sexual activity in an office will be sacked," he said.
There hasn't been any official report confirming that Baltasar Ebang Engonga passed on a disease to any women involved in the sex scandal. However, the nature of the scandal has raised concerns about ethical behavior and public health risks. Given the illicit nature of some of the encounters recorded in the explicit videos, there have been questions about the health implications, but no direct evidence has emerged regarding the transmission of a disease. The scandal is primarily focused on corruption and misconduct. Baltasar Ebang Engonga, the head of the National Financial Investigation Agency in Equatorial Guinea, was reportedly under investigation for corruption when the explicit videos were discovered. The alleged corruption involves mismanagement of financial resources, abuse of power, and potential misconduct related to his position. He was suspected of using his authority to cover up financial malfeasance, and the discovery of these videos further complicated his case by suggesting potential ethical violations within the government.
The government said it was taking action because the videos had denigrated the tiny Central African country's image. Equatorial Guinea has been ruled by the same president for decades, and the scandal has been shaking the government since the videos first emerged last week. Local media reports said hundreds of amateur videos had been found at the finance official's home during a raid associated with a corruption investigation. The women featured in the videos appeared to include wives of other powerful government figures and other family members, local media said. Reuters could not verify the authenticity of the videos. On Tuesday, Vice President Nguema Obiang Mang ordered new measures to prevent judiciary and ministry officials from engaging in illicit acts at work, a government statement said. These included installing security cameras in all offices as well as stepped-up security. The executive is taking this decision following the videos of a sexual nature that have gone viral on social media in recent days and that denigrate the country's image, the State Information Agency said in the statement. The statement said the measures were agreed during emergency meetings with the Supreme Court, Attorney General and others. It said those appearing in the sex tapes would be suspended, without providing names, while those responsible for securing the buildings in which the videos were allegedly filmed would be reprimanded for failing to do their jobs. President Teodoro Obiang has ruled Equatorial Guinea, a nation of some 1.7 million people on the west coast of Central Africa, for 45 years and is the world's longest-serving president. What the rest of the world sees as a sex tape scandal could in fact be the latest episode in the real-life drama over who will become Equatorial Guinea's next president. Over the past fortnight, dozens of videos, estimates range from 150 to more than 400, have been leaked of a senior civil servant having sex in his office and elsewhere with different women. They have flooded social media, shocking and titillating people in the small Central African country and beyond. Many of the women filmed were wives and relatives of people close to the center of power. It appears some were aware they were being filmed having sex with Baltasar Ebang Engonga, who is also known as Bello. All this is hard to verify as Equatorial Guinea is a highly restricted society where a free press does not exist. But one theory is that the leaks were a way to discredit the man at the center of the storm. Mr. Engonga is a nephew of President Teodoro Obiang Nguema and one of those thought to be hoping to replace him. Obiang is the world's longest-serving president, having been in power since 1979. The 82-year-old has overseen an economic boom that has turned to bust as a result of the now dwindling oil reserves. There is a small, extremely wealthy elite, but many of the 1.7 million people in the country live in poverty. Obiang's administration is heavily criticized for its human rights record, including arbitrary killings and torture, according to a U.S. government report. It has also had its fair share of scandals, including the revelations about the lavish lifestyle of one of the president's sons, now vice president, who once owned a $275,000, £210,000 crystal-encrusted glove worn by Michael Jackson. Despite regular elections, there is no real opposition in Equatorial Guinea as activists have been jailed and exiled and those with designs on office are closely monitored. Politics in the country is really about palace intrigue, and this is where the scandal involving Mr. Engonga fits in. He was the head of the National Financial Investigation Agency, and worked on tackling crimes such as money laundering. But it turned out he himself was under investigation. He was arrested on the 25th of October accused of embezzling a huge sum of money from state coffers and depositing it in secret accounts in the Cayman Islands. He has not commented on the accusation. Mr. Engonga was then taken to the infamous Black Beach prison in the capital, Malabo, where it is alleged that opponents of the government are subjected to brutal treatment. His phones and computers were seized, and a few days later the intimate videos started appearing online. The first reference the BBC has found to them on Facebook is from the 28th of October on the page of Diario Rome, a news site run by a journalist in exile in Spain, which said that social networks exploded with the leaking of explicit images and videos. A post on X the following day referred to a monumental scandal shaking the regime as pornographic videos flood social media. But they are believed to have originally appeared one by one a few days earlier on Telegram, on one of the platform's channels known for publishing pornographic images. They were then downloaded onto people's phones and shared among WhatsApp groups in Equatorial Guinea, where they caused a storm. Mr. Engonga was quickly identified along with some of the women in the videos, including relatives of the president and wives to ministers and senior military officials. The government was unable to ignore what was going on, and on the 30th of October, Vice President Teodoro Obiang, once owner of the Michael Jackson glove, gave telecoms companies 24 hours to come up with ways to stop the spread of the clips. "We cannot continue to watch families fall apart without taking any action," he wrote on X. In the meantime, the origin of these publications is being investigated to find the author or authors and make them answer for their actions. As the computer equipment was in the hands of the security forces, suspicion has fallen on someone there, who, perhaps, sought to trash Mr. Engonga's reputation ahead of a trial. The police have called on women to come forward to open a case against Mr. Engonga for the non-consensual sharing of intimate images. One has already announced that she is suing him. What is not clear is why Mr. Engonga made the recordings. But activists have put forward what could be other motives behind the explosive leak. As well as being related to the president, Mr. Engonga is the son of Baltasar Ebang Engonga, the head of the Regional Economic and Monetary Union, CEMAC, and very influential in the country. What we are seeing is the end of an era, the end of the current president, and there is a succession question, and this is the internal fighting we are seeing, said Equatorial Guinean activist Ensang Cristia Assimi Cruz, now living in London. Speaking to the BBC Focus on Africa podcast, he alleged that Vice President Obiang was trying to politically eliminate anyone who could challenge his succession. The vice president, along with his mother, are suspected to be pushing aside anyone who threatens his path to the presidency, including Gabriel Obiang Lima, another son of President Obiang from a different wife who was oil minister for 10 years and then moved to a secondary government role. Those in the elite are thought to know things about each other that they would rather was not made public, and videos have been used in the past to humiliate and discredit a political opponent. There are also frequent accusations of coup plotting, which further fuels paranoia. But Mr. Cruz also alleges that the authorities want to use the scandal as an excuse to crack down on social media, which is how a lot of information about what is really going on in the country gets out. In July, the authorities temporarily suspended the internet after protests broke out on the island of Annobon. For him, the fact that a high-ranking official was having sex outside of marriage was not surprising, as it was part of the decadent lifestyle of the country's elite. The vice president, who himself has been convicted of corruption in France and has had lavish assets seized in various countries, wants to be seen as the man cracking down on graft and wrongdoing at home. Last year, for example, he ordered the arrest of his half-brother over allegations he sold a plane owned by the state airline. But in this case, despite the vice president's efforts to stop the spread of the clips, they continue to be viewed. This week, he tried to appear more resolute, calling for the installation of CCTV cameras in government offices to combat indecent and illicit acts, the official news agency reported. Saying that the scandal had denigrated the image of the country, he ordered that any officials found engaging in sex acts at work would be suspended, as this was a flagrant violation of the code of conduct. He was not wrong that the story has attracted a lot of outside interest. Judging by Google's data, search inquiries that include the country's name have shot up since the beginning of this week. On Monday, on X, Equatorial Guinea was one of the top trending terms in Kenya, Nigeria and South Africa, surpassing at times interest in the U.S. election. This has left some activists who have been trying to tell the world about what is really going on in the country frustrated. Equatorial Guinea has much bigger problems than this sex scandal, said Mr. Cruz, who works for a rights organization called GE Nuestra. This sex scandal for us is just a symptom of the illness, it's not the illness itself. It just shows how corrupt the system is. Ines Silva and Damian Zane. Roll, BBC News. Additional reporting by BBC verifies Peter Mawai. Equatorial Guinea is a small country on the west coast of Africa which struck oil in 1995, and which since has been cited as a textbook case of the resource curse, or the paradox of plenty. The country consists of the mainland, called Rio Muni, and 5 islands including Bioko, where the capital Malabo is located. The former Spanish colony is now one of Sub-Sahara's biggest oil producers, but a large proportion of the population still lives in poverty. Rights organizations have described the 2 post-independence leaders as among the worst abusers in Africa. President Francisco Macias Nguema's reign of terror from independence in 1968 until his overthrow in 1979 prompted a third of the population to flee. His successor, Teodoro Obiang Nguema, has been described by rights organizations as one of the continent's most brutal dictators. Republic of Equatorial Guinea, facts. Capital, Malabo. Current, Ciudad de La Paz under construction. Area, 28,050 square kilometers. Population 1.6 million. Languages Spanish, French, Portuguese. Life expectancy 59 years men, 63 years women. Leader President Teodoro Obiang Nguema. President Obiang Nguema is Africa's longest-serving leader and has been in power for more than 40 years. In 1979 he seized power from President Francisco Macias Nguema, whose rule prompted a mass exodus and thousands of deaths. The former leader was tried and executed. The new president relaxed some of the restrictions of his predecessor, such as a ban on the Catholic Church, but kept the absolute control he inherited. He seems intent on continuing the dynasty. His son Teodoro Nguema Obiang is vice president. There is no real media pluralism in Equatorial Guinea. The government-controlled radio and TV broadcaster is the main source of news. However, online media outlets have developed in recent years, providing news that partly escapes government control. It is impossible for the media to criticize the president and the security forces, says Reporters Without Borders. Some key dates in Equatorial Guinea's history. 1471 Portuguese navigator Fernando Po sights the island of Fernando Po, now called Bioko. 1778 Portugal and Spain sign the Treaty of El Pardo, which cedes Bioko and commercial rights to the Bight of Biafra between the Niger and Ogo rivers to Spain in exchange for large areas in what is now western Brazil. The area becomes key for Spain's development of its Atlantic slave trade. 1827-1843 Spain leases a base at Malabo on Bioko to the UK, which uses it as a base as part of its efforts to suppress the transatlantic slave trade. 1900 Spain never settles large areas in the Bight of Biafra, which it claims, and this area is gradually occupied by France at the expense of Spain. This is ratified in the Treaty of Paris, leaving Spain with the continental enclave of Rio Muni. 1904 Fernando Po and Rio Muni become the Western African territories, later renamed Spanish Guinea. 1968 Spanish Guinea granted independence and the country becomes the Republic of Equatorial Guinea with Francisco Macias Nguema as president. 1979 the president's nephew Teodoro Obiang Nguema Mbasogo seizes power in a military coup. 1996 Mobil Oil Corporation announces it has discovered sizable new oil and gas reserves. 2001 economy emerges as one of world's fastest growing because of oil exploitation, but very little of this reaches the vast majority of the population. 2004 suspected mercenaries arrested over alleged coup attempt. Crackdown on immigrants ensues, hundreds of foreigners deported. 2005 Sir Mark Thatcher, son of former British PM Margaret Thatcher, tells a South African court that he helped to finance the alleged 2004 coup plot, but did so unwittingly. 2008 British mercenary Simon Mann and 4 South Africans sentenced to 34 years in prison for taking part in the 2004 coup plot. They are pardoned and released in 2009. 2016 government moves its headquarters from Malabo to Ciudad de La Paz or Jablojo, an unfinished city deep in the rainforest. What the rest of the world sees as a sex tape scandal could in fact be the latest episode in the real-life drama over who will become Equatorial Guinea's next president. Over the past fortnight, dozens of videos, estimates range from 150 to more than 400, have been leaked of a senior civil servant having sex in his office and elsewhere with different women. They have flooded social media, shocking and titillating people in the small Central African country and beyond. Many of the women filmed were wives and relatives of people close to the center of power.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe for more content, and leave a comment below. See you next time.